Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Full Spectrum Frontiers, the podcast where we dive deep into the fascinating world of conflict, national security, and the ripple effects these issues have on our daily lives. I'm your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we've got a truly captivating topic lined up for you. We're going to explore the intriguing and sometimes unsettling world of subversion and information warfare. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, great, more doom and gloom, let me assure you this episode is packed with insights that are not only eye opening, but also empowering. We'll uncover how nations and various actors use digital platforms to manipulate perceptions, create division, and influence public opinion. And don't worry, we'll throw in a dash of humor and optimism to keep things light. But why should you care about information warfare? Well, the truth is, it affects all of us. Whether you're scrolling through your social media feed, watching the news, or just chatting with friends, the way information is crafted and delivered can shape your thoughts and actions in ways you might not even realize. So, buckle up as we embark on this journey to understand the tools and tactics of modern subversion, how it impacts our society, and what we can do to stay informed and resilient in the face of these digital challenges. Let's dive right in. All right, folks. Let's kick things off with a little history lesson. Don't worry, I promise it won't be boring. In fact, the history of information warfare is pretty wild. Think of it like a spy thriller, but with a lot more tweets and memes. So, information warfare isn't exactly new. It's been around for as long as humans have been able to communicate. Ancient civilizations used propaganda to control narratives and sway public opinion. Fast forward to the 20th century, and you'll find some classic examples during the Cold War. Both the United States and the Soviet Union were masters of the craft, using everything from leaflets and radio broadcasts to staged events and covert operations to spread their messages. But the real game changer came with the rise of the internet and social media. Suddenly, the battlefield expanded from government-controlled airwaves to the vast, unregulated digital world. Now, anyone with an internet connection can be both a target and a participant in information warfare. One of the earliest and most infamous examples of modern digital subversion was the Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election. Using a mix of fake social media accounts, misleading news stories, and hacked emails, Russian operatives managed to sow discord and confusion on an unprecedented scale. The goal? To weaken trust in the democratic process and create chaos. And boy, did it work. This historical context sets the stage for our deep dive into the tools and tactics of information warfare in the digital age. Up next, we'll look at how these ancient strategies have evolved and what new tricks are being used to influence our minds today. Now that we've covered the history, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how information warfare is conducted in today's digital landscape. Think of this as a behind-the-scenes look at the modern magician's toolkit, except these tricks aren't always fun and games. First up, we have social media manipulation. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram have become the front lines in this battle. Fake accounts, often called bots or sock puppets, are created en masse to spread disinformation and amplify certain narratives. These accounts can pose as real people sharing fake news articles or inflammatory posts to stir up emotions and drive wedges between different groups. Next, we have the art of creating fake news. This isn't just about making up wild stories. It's about crafting narratives that are believable enough to be shared widely. Remember the infamous Pizzagate conspiracy? It's a prime example of how a fabricated story can gain traction and even lead to real world consequences, all because it was tailored to fit existing biases and fears. Then there's the more advanced tech like deepfakes. These are hyper realistic videos created using AI, where someone's likeness is manipulated to say or do something they never actually did. Imagine a video of a political leader saying something controversial. It looks real, sounds real, but it's completely fake. The potential for chaos is huge. And let's not forget about cyber attacks. Hackers can breach sensitive systems, steal information, and then release it strategically to cause maximum damage. Think of the DNC email leaks in 2016, which were timed to create maximum impact on the presidential campaign. These tools and tactics are incredibly effective because they exploit our natural tendencies. We're more likely to believe something if it confirms our existing beliefs. We're more likely to share something if it triggers a strong emotional response. And once misinformation is out there, it's hard to reel it back in. But don't despair. Understanding these tactics is the first step in protecting ourselves. Up next, we'll dive into some real-world case studies that show just how powerful and sometimes downright scary these methods can be. Time to get into the juicy stuff. Real-world case studies that showcase just how impactful information warfare can be. These examples are like plot twists in a thriller novel, but unfortunately, they're all too real. First on our list is the 2016 US presidential election. We touched on this earlier, but let's dig a bit deeper. Russian operatives, primarily through the Internet Research Agency, launched a multifaceted campaign to influence the election. They created thousands of social media accounts, posing as Americans, spreading divisive content designed to pit different groups against each other. They also hacked the Democratic National Committee's emails and released them at strategic moments. The goal wasn't necessarily to support one candidate over another, but to erode trust in the democratic process itself. The fallout? A nation more polarized than ever, with lasting impacts on public trust and political discourse. Next, let's look at Brexit. In the lead up to the 2016 referendum, both sides of the campaign used misinformation to sway voters. However, the Leave campaign was particularly notorious for its use of false claims, like the infamous bus advertisement that claimed the UK sent $350 million a week to the EU, money that could instead fund the National Health Service. This figure was widely debunked, but the emotional impact of the message stuck with many voters. Additionally, social media platforms were flooded with misleading ads and fake news, often targeting specific demographics with tailored content. The result? A deeply divided UK with ongoing debates and political turmoil. And then there's the COVID-19 pandemic. Misinformation and conspiracy theories spread like wildfire during the early days of the outbreak. From false cures to wild theories about the virus's origins, these narratives thrived on social media. Some of these were spread by state actors looking to undermine trust in rival nations' handling of the crisis, while others were the result of well-meaning but misinformed individuals. The consequences were dire. Public confusion, mistrust in health authorities, and in some cases, people taking dangerous or ineffective treatments. These case studies highlight the power and peril of information warfare. They show how easily trust can be eroded and how quickly false narratives can take hold. But knowledge is power, and by understanding these tactics and their impacts, we can better equip ourselves to recognize and resist them. Next, we'll explore the broader societal and political impacts of information warfare. Spoiler alert, it's not all doom and gloom. There's hope yet. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What does all this subversion and information warfare mean for our society and politics? Spoiler, it's a mixed bag of challenges and opportunities. First, let's talk about trust. Trust is the glue that holds societies together. We trust our institutions to govern fairly, our media to inform us truthfully, and each other to act in good faith. But information warfare targets this very trust. When false narratives are spread and believed, it erodes confidence in these pillars. This leads to increased polarization where people retreat into echo chambers, only interacting with information and individuals that confirm their existing beliefs. This polarization isn't just bad for dinner table conversations, it has real political consequences. We see legislative gridlock as elected officials become more extreme and less willing to compromise. Public discourse becomes more toxic, making it harder to have productive debates on important issues. In extreme cases, this can lead to radicalization, where individuals become so entrenched in their beliefs that they're willing to act out violently to defend them. But it's not all bad news. The very tactics used in information warfare also highlight the incredible power of information and technology. Social media and digital platforms can be harnessed for good, spreading awareness and mobilizing people for positive change. We've seen movements like Talk Me Too and Black Lives Matter gain momentum and bring about real societal shifts, thanks in part to the power of these platforms. Moreover, awareness is a powerful antidote to manipulation. As people become more savvy about how information can be manipulated, they become better at spotting fake news and disinformation. Media literacy programs are popping up, teaching people how to critically evaluate sources and think more deeply about the information they consume. Governments and tech companies are also starting to take this issue seriously. We're seeing more efforts to regulate digital platforms and hold them accountable for the content they host. Fact-checking organizations are working overtime to debunk false claims and provide accurate information. While there's still a long way to go, these steps are promising signs of progress. In short, the impact of information warfare on society and politics is profound, but not insurmountable. By understanding the tactics and being vigilant, we can resist manipulation and work towards a more informed, cohesive society. Up next, we'll explore some of the strategies and technologies being developed to combat information warfare and what we can do on a personal level to stay informed and resilient. Let's wrap things up with a look at how we can fight back against information warfare and what the future might hold. Spoiler alert, there's a lot we can do, both individually and collectively. First off, let's talk about what governments and tech companies are doing. Many governments are ramping up efforts to counter disinformation. This includes everything from creating task forces to monitor and respond to fake news, to working with international partners to share intelligence and strategies. On the tech front, companies like Facebook, Twitter, and Google are developing algorithms to detect and remove false content more efficiently. They're also investing in better user education to help people spot disinformation themselves. One exciting development is the rise of AI and machine learning in the fight against fake news. These technologies can analyze vast amounts of data to identify patterns and anomalies that might indicate disinformation campaigns. For example, AI can detect when a network of fake accounts is coordinating to spread a particular narrative, allowing platforms to take action before the content goes viral. But technology alone isn't the answer. Media literacy is crucial. Programs aimed at teaching people how to critically evaluate information are popping up everywhere, from schools to community centers. These programs focus on skills like checking the credibility of sources, understanding biases, and recognizing emotional manipulation. It's like giving people the tools to become their own fact checkers. On a personal level, there are several steps we can all take to protect ourselves and our communities from information warfare. First, be skeptical of sensational headlines and too good to be true stories. Take the time to verify information from multiple reputable sources before sharing it. Second, engage in conversations with a diverse range of people. Echo chambers are breeding grounds for disinformation, so seek out and listen to different perspectives. Another important step is to support quality journalism. Subscribe to reputable news outlets. Donate to nonprofit investigative journalism organizations, and share well-researched articles. Quality journalism is our best defense against fake news and disinformation. Finally, let's talk about the future. The landscape of information warfare is constantly evolving. As technology advances, so do the tactics used by those looking to manipulate and deceive. This means we need to stay vigilant and adaptable. Continuous education, technological innovation, and a commitment to truth and transparency are essential. While the challenges are significant, the potential for positive change is immense. By staying informed and proactive, we can build a more resilient society, one that values truth and transparency over deception and division. That's a wrap for today's episode of Full Spectrum Frontiers. I hope you found our dive into subversion and information warfare both enlightening and empowering. Remember, while the digital landscape is fraught with challenges, it's also full of opportunities for positive change. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay skeptical. Until next time, this is Bennett Tanton signing off. Keep exploring the full spectrum, and don't forget to tune in for our next episode. Take care.